Welcome to the Astrology Show with your host, Kelly Fox. Each week, Kelly will give you access to the current transits that are a valuable tool which provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has through our sun sign. Understanding the current planetary influences each week can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. Sometimes events in your life may seem completely random, but there is a pattern to the order of these events, one set in motion in part by you and in part by the planets and stars in the sky and their influence on your life here on Earth. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, if you're going to get that promotion, move to a new city, or fall in love, tune in to the Astrology Show for guidance. It can help you anticipate problems before they occur, give you tools to cope with changes, and help you look forward to the wonderful days ahead. Kelly Fox is a professional astrologer and internet pioneer who launched astrology.com, one of the first and most successful astrology websites. Today, her passion lies with her new site, theastrologer.com, where she brings a modern-day approach to an ancient wisdom. Please join Kelly each week to learn more about how the planets can align for you.
Hi there, and welcome to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox. Hey, baby, what's your sign? Have you ever been asked that before? Well, probably not. It's more of a myth than really a fact, as far as I've heard. But when somebody asks what sign you are, they're referring to your sun sign. And tonight's show is all about sun signs. I'm going to run through the meaning of each of the signs, give you some characteristics, give you some insight into the groupings, which I did cover recently with the compatibility show that I did, and talk in more detail about sun signs, cusps, and the 12 signs of the Zodiac. So there are 12 signs of the Zodiac, one for each month of the year, but unfortunately the signs and the calendar don't align perfectly. There's always a little glitch or an exception to the rule. Now you have to remember that the calendar is human-made, whereas the Zodiac signs are a natural occurrence of our world, of our solar system, of our universe. So that's why we also have the leap year, because we're trying to make up for time. We're trying to squish in human-made time into the natural cycles, natural rhythms of the world, of the earth, and they don't fit perfectly. So this is why you will find that sometimes the Zodiac sign will start varying dates. So the Zodiac begins in mid-March and not on January 1st. And the signs span from roughly the 20th or 21st of one month through to the 19th or 20th of the next month, and not the 1st through the 31st. And that's the reason why, because astrology is the cycles of the natural world. So when somebody asks you what your sign is, they are referring to your sun sign, and that means where the sun was in the Zodiac at the exact moment of your birth. Now, technically, the sun doesn't move. All the planets travel around the sun in their orbit. So that means that you have the sun in a fixed position, and then you have the planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and yes, Pluto. Astrologers consider Pluto a planet. And it's sort of laughable because Pluto is the most powerful planet of all, and to actually demote Pluto did concern me a lot back in, I think it was 2008 when that happened. Fortunately, nothing drastic's happened, but Pluto is actually lord of the underworld. So it was a bit of a concern at that time, but everything's been okay since, thankfully. So back to the signs, and so all the planets travel around the sun. The sun is in a fixed position. The moon is a satellite of Earth. So the moon is orbiting around the Earth while the Earth is orbiting around the sun. Most of the planets have their own moons. So you have cycles within cycles. It gets pretty complicated pretty fast. But the sun sign is a great place to start when thinking of astrology. Sun signs are ubiquitous when it comes to horoscopes, daily horoscopes, because if a horoscope is written correctly, then you would read your sun sign's horoscope, and that should be based from where the moon sign is, and then whatever else is going on. If there's an eclipse or a full moon, that should be incorporated into that horoscope. So that's how it all comes about. But also at the moment, so when the sun was in the zodiac and the position that it's in, from our perspective here on Earth, at the exact moment of your birth. And the exact moment of birth means the very first breath that somebody takes. So the first breath, that should be the recorded birth time. And I have been asked many, many times over the years that somebody was meant to be born on a certain day and they were born on a different day, or they were born by a C-section and now they've come out at a different time. It doesn't really matter. It really is all about that first moment of breath. So the first moment of breath is all that matters, and that's the time that should be recorded. Regardless if you should have been born at that time or not, it doesn't really matter, because we have something here called fate versus free will. Many people, most of us, we have free will, we have choice. And our fated moments in our life are things like that. I should have been born on August 20th. I was born on August 15th. Does that change who I am? No. Maybe I was always predestined to be born on August 15th regardless. Things like that. But when somebody, their first moment of the breath, that casts the astrology chart for that person. That's called a natal chart. And that chart also takes into consideration all the other planets and the positions and the signs they were in at the moment of your first breath. And all the planets are in different signs, different positions, and that's the influence that makes up an individual, all the different types of planetary influences in varying degrees. So this might explain why people who are all born under Leo, because right now we're in the month of Leo, not everybody's the same. You can't categorize or box everybody into 12 neat piles. It's very different because of all the varying influences. So hopefully that will explain why if somebody's a Leo, but one person might have an Aries moon and another might have a Pisces moon, but they're both Leos, and that will influence an individual so differently. So it really is a complex combination. And so what we have, as well as the planets and the signs, are the houses, the asteroids, the points. There's lots of things. It gets very complicated very fast. So it gets complicated very fast, but as I said, the sun sign is a great place to start. But clearly, having lots of planets in a certain sign in your chart will only intensify that sign's influence in your life. So each of the signs of the zodiac is associated with a particular symbol. and it's usually an animal. So you've got Aries, the ram, Taurus, the bull. Then you have an element, which I discussed in a recent show about compatibility, and the elements are fire, earth, air, and water, and air such as Gemini or water such as Cancer. Then you have the modalities, and that's cardinal, fixed, and mutable, or the qualities, they're also known as. So you have a fixed sign like Leo or a mutable sign like Virgo. And so each of these variables helps us to understand more about the signs that influence us and the energy inherent in each of the signs. So each sign has its own characteristic, but they are grouped together quite nicely, and signs of the same grouping are more compatible when it comes to the elements than others. I've also been asked a lot about cusps, and a cusp is that mysterious boundary between one zodiac sign and the next. So when the sun or any planet changes sign, it shifts the energies from one sign to another. If you are born on the cusp of two signs, you may feel like you embody characteristics of both of the signs. So you're really born under one sign only, and you're not sort of a mix of both. You might have some of the inner planets in the next sign to your sun sign. So, for example, if you're a Leo, and I keep referring to Leo because we are in the month of Leo. So if you were born under the sign of Leo, but you don't feel very Leo-like because you might be shy and introverted and don't need to be center of attention and whatever else. If you look to your astrology chart, what might become clear is that the inner planets, and that's Mercury, Venus, and Mars, might have been in Virgo at the time you were born. So then it might, you may feel more like a Virgo than a Leo because you've got more planets in Virgo than Leo, that type of thing. After the break, I will continue with the signs and talk through Aries through Pisces and what that means. So stay tuned.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Have you been searching for a perspective beyond the mainstream? Check it out. Join your hosts Cielito Pascual and Diana Gold Holland on Share International Radio for thought-provoking views behind the news, Sundays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio. You can also find us at shareontheairradio.org. This may be the message of hope you've been waiting for.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Hi there, and welcome back to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox, and on tonight's show, I'm talking about the signs. And what does a sign mean? When somebody says to you, what's your astrology sign, what's your sign, what are they talking about? They are talking about the month you were born. And typically with an astrology sign, or a sun sign or a star sign, you have about 30 days for each sign. The dates don't align perfectly with the calendar, but there's approximately 30 days for each sign of the zodiac. And there's a certain order. It's Aries is always first because Aries coincides with the astrological beginning of the year, the astrological new year. It always starts with Aries. And it makes sense because Aries, being the first sign of the zodiac, is very much about self. Aries represents the self. It's very independent. It's a solo sign, and it's always the first sign of the zodiac. And it usually starts, the beginning of Aries starts around March 20th, March 21st. I believe this year it started on the 19th. And also, depending on where you are in the world. So Australia, where I'm originally from, is very close to the international date line. It's very much first when it comes to times or dates. I believe Tonga is the first country in the world. Then you've got the Polynesian Islands, New Zealand, Australia, and so on. Hawaii is one of the last places according to time zone in the world. So time is very important for astrology, not just the time of birth, the moment you take your first breath, but the location you were born on Earth, because the time zone, there's a lot of calculation involving time zones and time corrections, because right now we're in Pacific Daylight Time in California, and so that you've got to adjust because we're 1 hour ahead of the usual standard time. So all these things are taken into consideration, and it gets very complicated very fast. So that's why I'm starting at the basics and talking about sun signs on this week's show. So it's all about sun signs and the order of the sun signs, and Aries being the first sign of the zodiac. And as I said, it's very appropriate that Aries is first, because Aries is, it's the beginning. It just represents new beginnings. Aries is symbolized by the ram, which is, again, highly appropriate, because this sign is headstrong and impulsive. And a good way to think of the characteristics of each of the sun signs is to look at the symbol. So look at the animal, not all of them are animals, but look at the animal, look at the symbol for each sign. So if you think of Aries, the ram, you think of a ram butting heads. That's my first vision of Aries. So it's all about the head. And the physical body, the body is divided into different rulers of the zodiac, and Aries rules the head. So anything on the head is Aries ruled, so very impulsive. Aries won't often back down from a challenge or confrontation. But confrontations, they can be exciting, especially if you're in Aries, maybe not so much for the other signs. But they can also lead to a frustrating locking of horns, sometimes with an imagined foe. And that, it sort of explains a significant part of the Aries experience. Aries, I always picture as a gladiator. If you've seen that movie Gladiator from the 90s, Russell Crowe, who, by the way, is an Aries, and just the way that he played that character in Gladiator was just so Aries. All of it was Aries. The fearless warrior gladiator just showed no fear. And the key word for Aries is brave. But on the flip side, when Aries is not really living its full potential, the flip side or the dark side of Aries is fear. So if you're an Aries or you know of an Aries and they're fearful about something, they're not really living to their full potential, not being the brave warrior. So Aries is definitely the brave warrior, never backs down from a challenge. Aries is a cardinal fire sign, so cardinal sign are initiators. The other cardinal signs, so you have Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn are the cardinal signs. So those four signs are connected by having that cardinal influence. Aries is a fire sign, and the fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So any signs of the same element are connected and just by default have a better level of compatibility. Aries is ruled by the planet Mars. Mars is the planet of passion, and Mars is also the planet of action. So Mars is a doer. So Aries is definitely a sign that gets things done. It doesn't sit there pondering. It takes action. And it's a very masculine energy as well, because the mythology of Mars is all about, again, the brave warrior. It's a masculine energy. I'd have to say that Aries is one of the strongest, most impulsive and courageous signs of the zodiac. And as I said, when it lives to its full potential, it's fearless when it comes to challenge and conquest. And, of course, that applies to love and any other kind of adventure. Aries will pursue anything with a single-minded energy that they apply to almost anything else in their life. And they won't let obstacles keep them from reaching their goal. So if you have an Aries in your life, you know that they're always on the go and always up to something. I don't mean in that way. I just mean up to something, meaning always doing something, never sitting still. But also on the flip side, there's a lot of excitement around Aries, but also the flip side is, agitation and impatience. Aries is hot-blooded, it's warm-hearted, which means a fiery temper to match that strong drive. Aries can get mad pretty fast when it doesn't get what it wants. But the good news is it rarely holds a grudge. Aries is too busy with so many things that it's typically juggling that there's just not any time to waste on stewing with grudges and things that happened in the past. If you know of an Aries and this doesn't ring true, as I said, there's other planets involved in everybody's chart, and perhaps the Aries might have a Cancer moon, because Cancer is somebody that gets their feelings hurt and likes to hold on to things. But typically the energy of Aries means it doesn't hold on to things too much. There's just too much to do and see in life to waste time clinging to old, outdated emotions. So Aries is always off, jumping headfirst into the next adventure. Next sign of the zodiac, second sign of the zodiac is Taurus. Taurus the bull. Taurus the bull, and this association is quite apt because as all the symbols of the zodiac, they're all quite fitting. Taurus can be very stubborn. It tends to dig its heels in when faced with the need to step aside or change course. Taurus is a fixed sign, and so it's very hard to get the bull to change courses. Taurus is usually very mellow. It's very mellow, but once you start waving that red flag in front of the bull, that's when you see things change. So if you think of the bull and think of the energy of a bull, that's what you're dealing with. Taurus is one of the strongest signs of the zodiac and can pull its own weight and then some when necessary. Taurus is very determined. Did I say that? No, I said stubborn. And persistent and dependable, can be very generous with those they love, extremely affectionate and extremely patient. They're very much into endurance and can be quite conservative. Taurus is a fixed earth sign. and the other earth signs being Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So there's a natural affinity between those three signs. And the fixed signs, of course, are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Taurus defines stability, and for some signs that could get pretty dull, sometimes, because Taurus can be a bit of a stick in the mud. But the good news is Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus is the love planet. So Venus lends Taurus a healthy dose of sensuality and pleasure-seeking a mile wide. And so there's a lot of Taurians that are built sturdily with strong bones and muscles and extra meat on their frames. They love to eat rich, delicious foods as much as they love lying around cuddling with their sweetie. They are charming because of this Venus influence and in touch with all the sensual pleasures of life. They can get a little bit lazy from time to time, but, they're also willing to work really hard and work for what they have. As a fixed sign, Taurus has a long-term plan, but they do like to relax as well. They do have a strong back that's made for hard work, and they like to spend their money on quality items. They're not really bargain hunters. They like luxurious dinners at five-star restaurants, typically if the budget can afford it, of course. But overall, they have excellent taste. Gemini, third sign of the zodiac. And I should have been giving the dates for Aries and Taurus, but with Gemini, it's anybody born around May 21st to June 21st. And Gemini, the symbol of Gemini is the twins. And they're quite playful and mischievous, and they speak perfectly to the heart of a Gemini. They're sometimes a bit devious, tricky, clever, witty. It's hard to keep up with a Gemini. We'll take a quick break. After the break, I will continue with the zodiac signs.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Spiritual, metaphysical, green living, psychic, alternative healing, life coaching. Do any of these or similar terms apply to your business or cause? If so, you are in a niche market with a very specific audience. Conscious Gate PR is the world's leading conscious public relations agency. With a global reach of over 4 million and growing, we offer comprehensive media campaigns to our targeted market. Learn more at ConsciousGatePR.com. Conscious marketing for conscious minds.
Join Vibe Nation radio host, international psychic medium Carrie Turcotte, as she guides her listeners to rediscover themselves by accessing the keys of knowledge that already exist within. Each week's show is divinely orchestrated to intertwine with the universal energies, allowing the listeners to go deeper within. At the end of each show, Carrie will tap into the energies of the listeners and give a message from Spirit about the upcoming week. If you really want to get to know who you truly are, join Carrie each Monday at 3 p.m. on Vibe Nation Radio.
Me, a cat, moving in with a new human. It took a little getting used to. She has these weird games she likes to play, like this giant feather. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. It's almost like she thinks I enjoy it. But seeing how much fun she gets out of it, well, I guess it makes it all worth it. Humans.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Hi there, welcome back to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox, and I'm talking about the zodiac signs. And before the break, I was talking about the third sign of the zodiac, which is Gemini. Now, Gemini is a mutable air sign that's ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is a communication planet. So Gemini is all about communication and the intellect. And, you know, this sign's best friend will be anyone who will stay up late with them discussing everything under the sun. They're more concerned with connecting with people on an intellectual level. They are typically quick-witted and highly observant and don't seem to miss very much. They do have a real need for freedom, and that's what can get them into trouble sometimes, intellectual, romantic, and otherwise. So they like to connect. They like to find out as much about someone or something as possible. They get bored very fast, and they do intellectualize their feelings, so they're not much for sentimentality and deep, gooey, emotional bonding. They can be a little bit indecisive because they can see all sides of something. Some people think they're wishy-washy. They're not, because they can see all sides of something and it can be hard to make a decision. They are a mutable sign after all, and they can just change their mind on a moment's notice. So they're very exciting though, and usually the life of the party. Next sign of the zodiac, fourth sign of the zodiac is Cancer the crab, and that's anyone born approximately June 22nd through July 22nd. Cancers are typically sensitive and emotional in nature, and when things get tense, Cancer can go into self-protection mode, pulling into its shell until the trouble clears. Now, Cancer is a cardinal water sign. It's ruled by the moon, which will explain that moodiness that Cancer has. But Cancer isn't all about protecting itself. This sign is the caretaker of the zodiac, who will go to great lengths to keep its loved ones safe and supported. They are deeply, deeply connected with their families and would do anything for the people, their friends, who they care about and consider as family, even if it doesn't always seem like it. They can come across as introverted, but that doesn't mean that they don't care. It just means that they tend to internalize a lot and hide within that shell. They can get so emotional that they don't know how to articulate or express how they're feeling. And there's that handy shell again ready for Cancer to retreat into. So Cancers typically or should surround themselves with caring types who understand their mood fluctuations. And if you think of their rule of the moon that changes the moon phase constantly, that's how Cancer is as well. But this sign is very devoted, very supportive, very loyal. And Cancer's interest in family goes deeper than the immediate present. Cancer is a natural historian, and you might find that most Cancers have an interest in their roots and ancestry. And there's been many Cancerian that have happily spent hours mapping their family tree. And also anything domestic. They're very proud of their homes and their families, and anything around the home, Cancer typically excels at. The fifth sign of the zodiac is Leo, and we're currently in the birthday month of Leo. So that's anybody born approximately July 23rd through August 22nd. Leo is symbolized by the lion and is about leadership, pride, warmth, courage, and strength. King or queen of the jungle. Can be a little bit dramatic sometimes. The sign has a taste for the exciting and dramatic. So that's a stimulating friend to have around. Leo is a fixed fire sign that's ruled by the sun. So Leo loves to be the center of attention, just as the sun is in our solar system. And like any good drama queen, it can get pretty stubborn when it doesn't get its own way, because it's a fixed sign. Lots of actors are Leos. Leo is a sign of the actor. Lots of Leos have bigger-than-life personalities that are made for the stage. A lot of Leos have a healthy sense of their own egos, and they adore being in the spotlight. Yes, the flip side, you do get introverted Leos, absolutely. Leos make wonderful and devoted friends, and loyalty is one of their strongest points. As long as they feel they're getting the proper attention and respect they deserve from their loved ones, they'll return the favour with grand gestures of devotion. They're extremely generous as well. They're very romantic and will go to dramatic lengths to woo the object of their desires. They won't just stop with a dozen roses. It'll be a room full of roses. Dinner and movie, amateurish. Leo loves luxury and finery and will treat a date to the finest five-star restaurant. Who wouldn't want a Leo in their life? Virgo, sixth sign of the zodiac. Anybody born approximately August 23rd through September 22nd. And Virgo is symbolized by the maiden, the virgin, but that has connotations that don't apply. So I do like to say the maiden. It's just a young, pure woman. The sign is known to be prim and fastidious, but it does have a wild side occasionally. And it's really all about purity and perfectionism. Virgos can be a bit shy and reserved, sometimes even prudish, but they have to be comfortable with the right group of friends or the right person so then they can relax and let their hair down. Virgo is a mutable earth sign, and they're more comfortable with following someone else's lead than with getting out there front and centre. They don't really care about hogging the spotlight. It's more about being in a supporting role. They can be quite prim and aloof. They can be discriminating about everyone and everything, but it's from a good place. It's not necessarily because they're discriminating in a negative way. It's more about they're just seeking perfection. That's what this sign is about. It can be quite misunderstood. And, this sign only wants to be of service, and that's how it shows its devotion to its friends and loved ones. Virgo is very devoted and, as I said, wants to help out in any way possible, including offering advice, which can feel like verging on criticism, but really that's not what it's about. It just sees efficiency, or rates efficiency as a priority. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, the planet of communication. It's all about getting its ideas across, even if they're coming across as nitpicking. It does mean well, because they have a never-ending quest for perfection. It's a tall order, but if anyone can do it, Virgo can. Libra, the seventh sign of the zodiac. It's anyone born approximately September 23rd through October 22nd. It's symbolized by the scales, so that means it's all about balance. And that really is this sign's lifelong pursuit. It's happiest when everything around is in equilibrium or balanced. When everybody's happy and getting along, there are no major injustices, making life seem less sweet. That's what really upsets a Libra. Libra is a cardinal air sign that's ruled by Venus, the love planet. And so Libra is all about living the sweet life. Parties and romance are just some of this sign's favourite pastimes, because Libra is very sociable. It really likes to interact with people. It needs somebody there. It can't stand confrontation and seeks out happy, beautiful people. And the motto of Libra could be, why can't we all just get along? So they do make, and relationships are very important to Libra. They make excellent partners in love and business. They do have a reputation of being wishy-washy, and that is because they can see all sides of the equation. They would sometimes rather waffle around, not giving a solid response to a question than put its foot down on an issue. And they don't like to alienate or upset someone. Even a little small white fib, just to keep somebody happy, would be the preference of a typical Libra. They're indecisive, again, because they can see all sides of an issue, but they want to please people as well. They're people pleasers. And, for example, the friend might say to a Libra, does this look great? Does this dress look good on me? Yep, it looks great, when secretly they think it adds 10 pounds. That type of thing. It's not done out of harm. It's more done out of sparing someone's feelings. Libra is gentle and refined and has great taste. Scorpio, the 8th sign of the Zodiac and probably one of the most misunderstood signs of all, and that's anybody born between October 23rd and November 22nd. Scorpio is symbolized by the scorpion, which immediately calls to mind that poisonous tail that can lash out and sting when its victims least expect it. Scorpios can be like that when highly upset or pushed into a corner. This sign is very complex and passionate, that sometimes acts in passion rather than thinking things through first properly. Scorpio is a fixed water sign, and it is ruled by both Mars and Pluto. So that's where all that passionate intensity comes from, mixed in with emotions that run miles deep like a fathomless ocean. And, of course, stubbornness to match. Whoa, what a combination. So it's no wonder Scorpio is known to be incredibly intense. So that's why it has a bit of a reputation, because other signs find it hard to keep up on that level. So Scorpio does have so many things going on under the surface. It's a wonder it can seem so put together most of the time. But the passion and intensity make for a highly compelling personality. Scorpio is one of the sexiest signs of the Zodiac, and its reputation is matched only by its reality. So it's a magnetic, brave sign that can be possessive and even vengeful when given the proper motivation. Yes, Scorpio can make a formidable enemy, and they're only slightly less intimidating as friends. They love to control their surroundings and the people around them, and often take a behind-the-scenes approach to manipulation. But it does come from a good place. Scorpio is one of the most loyal signs of the Zodiac. Leo and Scorpio, definitely the most loyal signs of the Zodiac. Very intense Scorpio. After the break, I will continue with the rest of the Zodiac signs.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millicers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
There is no death, only a change of worlds. Chief Seattle. Deborah Livingston is an award-winning intuitive psychic medium whose international services include mediumship, spiritual assessment, animal communication, and spiritual mentoring. She is a published author and a trained shaman. Deborah provides evidential messages from spirit and departed loved ones. Learn more at deblivemedium.com. That's DEBLIV medium.com.
Hey America, we need to have a little talk. We've got more food than we know what to do with in this country, yet 17 million kids in America are struggling with hunger. Makes no sense. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Hey, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hi there, welcome back to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox, and I'm talking about the Zodiac signs. I'm now up to Sagittarius, the 9th sign of the Zodiac. There's 12 signs of the Zodiac, and Sagittarius is anybody born approximately November 22nd through December 21st. And Sagittarius is symbolized by the archer, and the archer is the truth seeker of the Zodiac. And if you think of the archer who's sending out arrow after arrow, aiming for the horizon, and this is very much the way that Sagittarius operates in life, they tend to strike out into the unknown with far-reaching, idealistic vision of the possibilities inherent in the universe. They're very much the philosopher of the Zodiac. Sagittarius is a mutual fire sign, and Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Jupiter, which is the planet of luck and good fortune. And if you think of any Sagittarians in your life, they do have a lucky streak at times. They always fall into great experiences and opportunity, seemingly without effort, but that's maybe because they have a mutable nature that allows them to go with the flow, switching course at a moment's notice, and they can see an opportunity when it comes their way. And, you know, of course, what better way to bring luck into your life than to keep your eyes open for opportunities? Sagittarius is famous, however, for not being able to see the trees for the forest. Their attention to detail isn't the greatest. They're too busy getting excited about the big picture to keep an eye on the little things. Sagittarius has a reputation as a lifelong student and teacher, a people lover and an adventurer. They're also very much a traveller. Sagittarius is a sign of the traveller. Sagittarius wants to get out into the world and experience everything and everyone in it. The sign loves people and experiences so much that it can find it hard to settle down with just one person. They can't stand routine, and they thrive on spontaneity. So if you have claimed the heart of a Sagittarian, you need to keep them guessing. Otherwise, they get bored very easily. The 10th sign of the Zodiac is Capricorn, December 22nd through January 19th. And Capricorn is symbolized by the sea goat. But to make things easier, astrologers just tend to say the goat. But the sea goat means it's a mythological creature. It's a goat with the tail of a fish. And that goat comes from the very bottom of the ocean, and it works its way up to the very top of the mountain. So if you can picture that animal, the sea goat, always climbing, always trying to get to the top of the mountain, that's Capricorn. It's sort of like ever ascending to the heights of their career or their life in general. Capricorns are known as the CEO of the Zodiac. They are hard workers who feel a lifelong inner need to impress others with their accomplishments and, as always, a healthy bank balance. They have long-term plans and goals. They are a cardinal earth sign, which means cardinal knows how to get things going, get things done, and they've got the perseverance necessary to keep it going. They're not very much of a risk taker. They only take risks if they're the calculated type, and sometimes recalculated to get it all figured out yet a third time. Capricorns, they work hard and they like to see returns for their efforts. A lot of them are business-minded and level-headed. They have an eye for the bottom line, and they are very practical, and they won't do it if something doesn't make sense. But on the other hand, they might take a low-paying position as a stepping stone to something higher paid and more prestigious way further down the track. Capricorn is conscientious and hardworking. It's ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is the taskmaster planet. Saturn is all about discipline in all endeavours and taking care of responsibilities. Sometimes Capricorn can be a bit of a stick in the mud, insisting on adhering to the plan, the itinerary, or even the routine, but they do make incredibly loyal and devoted friends. So that's Capricorn. You find a lot of Capricorns as CEOs or people that anything's around long-term planning or time management. The 11th sign of the zodiac is Aquarius. And Aquarius is anybody born approximately January 20th through February 18th. And Aquarius, this sign, a lot of people get confused about Aquarius, and that's sort of how Aquarius likes it as well. Aquarius is an air sign, but its symbol is the water bearer. So people do sometimes think that Aquarius is a water sign because obviously if you see somebody pouring some water, that sort of makes you think, oh, that's a water sign. But Aquarius is an air sign, the other air signs being Gemini and Libra. And Aquarius is a humanitarian of the zodiac. And the humanitarian of the zodiac who brings water to the parched masses and loves to lend a helping hand. Aquarius is very much the philanthropist, helping other people, very democratic. We're all of the same level, helping others. It's very much like that. And the other thing is Aquarians like to feel different from everyone else around them. They're very unique and individual, even to the point where they might hang out with extremely conservative types as a foil to their liberal tendencies. I know that sounds sort of weird, but if you're hanging out with a group that you feel different and unique and special in, then, hey, why not if you're an Aquarian and if that's what floats your boat? And as I said, the symbol is a water bearer, but they're an air sign. They're a fixed sign, so most people don't realise that. They can be quite stubborn when they've got their mind set on something. That is it, get out of the way. They do embody both stability and the urge to roam freely, so there's a bit of a contradiction going on. And that's because they're co-ruled by two planets, Uranus, the planet of rebellion, and Saturn, the planet of discipline. So there's two planets going on, two very different energies, and that's why we get conflicting vibes from Aquarius at times. So there's the changeable, unpredictable nature of Uranus, and with Saturn, it's focused energy. So that's the pairing that you get. So, this sign is definitely an interesting blend of characteristics. It's communicative because it's an air sign, yet it's guarded, always seeking out the new and unusual, but most comfortable staying with the course. And there's an old yarn about Aquarius. They love humanity. It's the people they can't stand. So it's like a strange mix of contradictions with this sign. Aquarius is the most freedom-seeking sign of the zodiac, that and Sagittarius, which can make the sign rather hard to pin down at times. What else about Aquarius? So it's sort of like they like to mix with a lot of people. They have a lot of friends or acquaintances, but getting close to an Aquarius might be difficult. The last sign of the zodiac is Pisces, anybody born between February 19th and March 20th. Pisces is symbolized by the fish, two fish swimming in different directions, which means one represents a subconscious mind, one fish represents the conscious mind, going in different directions. That's the key here. So they're mutable water sign, so they know how to go with the flow. They're happy taking the lead of someone else, especially if it's the lead of someone they trust. They are highly romantic and extremely intuitive, almost psychic, many of them. They're very emotional and to the point where they will bring home stray puppies because they can't bear to see them left alone and hungry. It's an amazing quality that many Pisces have. but it can get them into trouble from time to time. Very big-hearted, warm-hearted. Sometimes they can be taken advantage of because they have such big hearts. Pisces is co-ruled by Jupiter and Neptune. Neptune is a planet of illusion, and it thrives on fantasy and imagination. Pisces is the champion of lost causes because it has this idealism. It does blind it to some people, as I said, taking advantage, or some people just can't be saved. But on the other hand, love of fantasy can make for a very imaginative friend, and incredibly caring and sensitive. So Pisces is very much the carer of the zodiac. Being the last sign, I've heard a lot of times that Pisces is an old soul, and it understands, and it's forgiving and compassionate towards other signs or other people. And so then you have this mix of the 12 signs. So you have Aries through Pisces. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. Pisces is the last. It's like how we evolve. So we start with Aries. It's the baby. It rules the head, and then the energy works through each of the signs till you get to Pisces, which is the old soul, and it rules the feet. So there you have it. That's the 12 zodiac signs and the characteristics of each. Thanks for joining me. This is the Astrology Show, and I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox. Stay tuned for further shows in the coming weeks. Thanks for joining me.